Good morning everyone. I am going to start the video with some thank yous. First off, Phil Beaumont, who, because he's just a very nice chap, has sent me LDV spares. So he sent me a new prop shaft centre bearing, and these are both prop shaft UJs. So although I don't need any of these yet, I might actually need that, I'm not sure yet, I haven't checked. They're just very, very helpful spares to have in the collection, so thank you very much to Phil. He also sent me this radio, which is an LDV Philips. So I don't know whether I'm going to fit that. I probably won't, because I quite like my original one, but it's still good to have, and it has the adapter leads on the back as well. In other thank yous, and this is quite an important one, and it again just illustrates the benefit of having another set of eyes watching over what you're doing. In the last video, or video 3 I think it was, I was messing around with the underside of the van and I kicked the steering rod. Now, unbeknownst to me, that moved, and basically what had happened was that the track rod end on this end, which I've now removed, it was knackered, and what was really strange was I'd picked the wheels up before and given the wheels a wiggle to check for playing the kingpins, and there was absolutely no movement that way, but the actual track rod had started to break up and was incredibly loose, so you could actually lift and move this bar up and down really easily, so it was completely goosed. I did videos on that saying thank you to the people who pointed it out, and those people were Jigger, Marts Garage and Thatcher. There might have been more, but because of the way I get notified about comments on my videos, I don't always see all the comments. I would have to go back and read the whole thing, so if comments come in after the first sort of 24-48 hours, I generally don't find them. But yeah, I did some videos on removing the old track rod end, and it was an absolute bitch. I needed a lot of heat and WD-40 and stuff to get it off, but in the videos when I watched them back, I'd got grease all over the lens from having done the kingpins, so you couldn't actually see what I was doing, hence why there's no video of me taking that apart. But what there will be a video of is me putting it back together again, because I now have a rod end. I actually have two rod ends because I didn't realise they were handed. One is left, one is right, but yeah, I have the right rod end, and then I've got my caps for my bleed nipples and grease nipples, and I've also bought myself a new genuine filler cap, because my one you currently have to use a screwdriver and it's knackered, so that can all go together. So first thing I'm going to do, oh, and more importantly, steering rod damper, because when I was playing around with this bar, wiggling the track rod on and off, the damper which sits in there is quite obviously goosed. It's really, really loose. There's literally no resistance when you push it in and out. It's covered in oil. That oil I thought originally was having dropped from the bottom of the gearbox or the engine, but it's not. I think it's actually out of the barrel, so that's got to go. So yeah, should be all quite easy, straightforward stuff. When I unscrewed that track rod end, I actually marked to a line up there somewhere, 8 inches. So I know where my new rod end's going to go back in, so I won't have to redo the tracking or anything. And just so you know, again, it is a very cold day, so I don't know how long I'm going to be out here. It's the little things that make you happy. So that's my old fuel filler, and this apparently is not the right one anyway. It's a ventilated one, whatever that means. I guess that valve there allows air in. This is the brand new genuine LDV one I've been sent. It had that ring and a little strap which should connect somewhere, but I can't work out where that goes yet, but I'm not going to throw it away. Does it? Oh well, in fact I know it fits because I just tried it, but as if to keep the mystery of YouTube alive, does it fit? Oh yes, it does fit. It doesn't appear to be a ventilated one, so if I have any running issues, I know that that's an issue and I need to swap back to a different one, but so I won't be throwing that lot away just yet. But anyway, neatens things up a little bit, which is a bit of a strange thing to say when the rest of the van looks like that, but you know, a little progress. track rod end in, done, clamp done up. I'm going to recover all of these grease nipples and bleed nipples and things, and then I'll get that ram out and swap it for the new one. For those of you that didn't see the old rod end, I shall attempt to demonstrate. There's no lateral play, left and right, but up and down. Should definitely not be doing that. Just check the other side and that's okay. So it was only one scrap one, but nevertheless good to have spotted it. Well, I say me spotted it, I didn't spot it. Thank you to those people again, and anyone else I didn't mention. That's the new steering damper. Interesting that he says this side up. I don't know why it would say that, but it does, so I shall follow that sticker. I'm going to undo the old one, put this one in, hopefully. A nice easy job. You can see these bushes are well past it. They're just crumbling, turning to dust. This end, not so bad, but that's the grease and oil coming out of it, and I don't think it is just from the engine or the box, because I wouldn't be getting on that bit. It's got to be coming from this. Certainly when that track rod was undone and I was wiggling it, literally no resistance. So I'm going to try and get that off now. I think I'll need WD-40, a wire brush and an impact gun. These Stilsons are fast becoming my favourite new tool. Well, they're not new to me, but basically the body of the ram wanted to rotate, so with the Stilsons wedged in there, they ain't going anywhere. Oh, still tough though. The old one out. That bolt, that end is a bit of a pain because it's half hidden by the anti-roll bar mounting, but I got it eventually. Yeah, there's one sorry looking damper. This one, however, is nice and shiny and new. That was, I think, 23 quid or 36 quid, so not much money, thank God. New damper is in, and pretty much I think that's it for the front suspension. Everything else looks okay. My long-term plan is to fit power steering, so all of this lot will be changed, or certainly the box and that. All of this will be checked at that point. The rest of it all looks good for the minute. Back when I first got this van, and well before I thought anyone would be interested in it and did any videos on it, so we're talking end of November, December time, me and Spitfire Trading did the exhaust, swapped the whole exhaust all the way through, because the box had rotted out and basically it wasn't very good. When we did that, the bracket went between the gearbox and the downpipe. It had basically fractured off. Somebody had tried welding it back together and that hadn't worked very well, so we took it off. I am now going to reinstate it. I've got to get that bit of broken bracket off, weld it onto this bit, and then find one of the two brackets that I've bought for it, and hopefully they will fit. That's basically the bracket that goes on the gearbox, and then there's a separate one that comes down and clamps actually around the exhaust to hold it. I guess if you don't have that, you just risk fracturing it off at the manifold up there, so it is quite important, hence why I want to reinstate it. Okay, I've just used the grinder or sander to clean up the surfaces and put a bit of a chamfer in there, because this is obviously quite a weak area, so I want it welded pretty well. What else have I done? I took my hat off, and then I'm just gonna snot that together, hopefully. I shall try and put the camera somewhere so you can see too, because I know people like welding. That's the importance of putting a chamfer in. You can see that even though I was welding pretty hot from the other side, it didn't actually penetrate halfway through the thickness of the material, whereas now I can kind of fill it in from this side and know that it will be good penetration. Oh, ooh, Mrs. Dirty boy. Right, so I'm happy that that is well and truly on there. Which side is it? I think this side will need to be ground flat because it has to sit against the gearbox casing. That side just needs to be flat enough for a nut and washer to go on. So I'll give it a tickle with a grinder, paint it black, then I'll wait for that to dry and then go, in the meantime, hunt for the clamp that I know I've got, or I think I've got, but might require some time to dig out. That is the bracket that I bought for this very purpose. The idea is that goes around there and then picks up on that other bit I've just fixed and painted. But that does, you know, you're going to have to open that up to such a big extent to get it round there, because it is very tight. So that is a bit of a pain. So I'll have to wrestle with it for a minute. It's these little battles that really piss you off. That I had to use this brute strength and just, oh, I don't know, moaning for no reason, but that was a pain in the arse. I thought it should have been a 5-minute goddamn job, because you could close it up but it didn't then align, so you couldn't get the thread started. Then the thread was munched, so I had to clean the thread up. So what looks for about 5 seconds in a video probably. That's the bracket, painted and repaired. That goes up in there somehow like that, and then hopefully that bit should just bolt together with that bit. I've got myself some nuts and bolts, so I shall now attempt to put it back together. Well, the good news is my welding means that that still fits on there perfectly. That hasn't moved. That goes around there and the brackets look like they kind of align. The bad news is that the holes do not. They are way out. So either the exhaust pipe is the wrong shape, or I have moved the bracket, or this is the wrong bracket. Either way, doesn't really help me, because basically that middle bolt hole basically lines up, but none of the rest does. Well, I didn't bother filming me drilling holes because that's really rather boring, but that is all in there and done now. All solid, all factory original. You can really see why this thing hasn't rusted. It's just covered with like cavity wax all the way through. And again, usual apologies for not knowing how much this camera picks up of the low light conditions, but it's really quite remarkable. Everything is rust free. It's nuts. When I got this, I thought, oh well, I'm going to be spending weeks de-rusting the underside of that. I'm really not. I don't think I'll even bother doing anything massive to it other than keeping it clean and dinitriling it in the summer and treating any little areas that have popped up. But as for a gross clean of the underside of the van, just totally not necessary. That's the centre bearing. There's some movement, so I don't know how much movement there's meant to be, if any, because I'm not particularly familiar with these, but there is a little bit. Whether that's in the rubber or the bearing itself, I don't know, but I'll go and have a wiggle of the one Phil gave me and see how they compare. They're going back to like the grease nipples. People were telling me that these props also have grease nipples. I can't find any. There's none as far as I'm concerned, so I didn't bother greasing it because I couldn't. Gonna go and have some lunch now. See you later.